All right, guys, welcome back to the Twisted ADV channel. My name's Chris, and today we're in the shop to fix this. Oh my gosh, guys, it's been happening for a little while. It's just a little drip every once in a while, and all of a sudden it's just really starting to come down like the flood before Noah's Ark. It seems to be a common problem with the Jeeps. You know, every once in a while you'll start getting some drips and you start embarrassing yourself because your Jeep wants to mark its territory everywhere it goes, and then you're out there with the scrub brush and your degreaser and you're cleaning up everyone else's driveways and parking spots and everything else. It's horrible. So anyway, what we're gonna do is a real quick fix. We're gonna drop the oil pan, we're gonna replace the gasket, we're gonna do the valve cover gaskets because that's another area that could possibly leak, and I'm not chasing it with some dye or some powders and all that kind of thing to start trying to find exactly where it's at. It's pretty cheap and inexpensive repair as far as the oil gasket. I think it was like 35 bucks, and then the valve cover gaskets I was able to find online for like $20 or something like that. And I'll show you what those parts look like just before we get started. So now we've got everything gathered up, and you can see here we have our oil pan, we have our valve cover gaskets. These are great because it comes with installation pins to help with that, and this one comes with all the little grommets to be held in those spots for the valve covers. You're going to want fresh oil because whenever you drop it, you're going to need new fresh. Brakes cleaner, that's going to help clean up some of those parts. Degreaser for your drive, Scott towels, that's great. And really this ultra black gasket maker, oil resistant. Okay, that's gonna be critical because on the oil pan, there's 4 spots in the corners that you're gonna have to apply some of that to get a good seal. Definitely wanna have your tools, maybe even a rubber mallet to help knock that oil pan loose. And then critical, inch-pound torque wrench, because the valve cover gasket and the oil pan requires like 109 inch-pounds. You don't want to over torque it because then you end up busting like the bolt in the pan, and then it adds hours to your job. And then have a standard foot-pound torque wrench that can handle like 40 pounds. So that should do it for now, and we'll go ahead and get under the Jeep, get cleaned up, and start. Can you imagine doing this at your wife's parents' house or something like that? You know, you just come in, your Jeep marks the territory, and then you gotta be out there scrubbing this, feeling bad, like, man, I'm sorry I marked your area. All right, so if you are bound and determined to find that oil leak, start from the top, work your way down. Valve cover gaskets, work down, and look at the filter housing, see if it's seeping around there or whatever, and then from the front back, because what's gonna end up happening is as the gravity works and oil goes down the front, it's gonna start blowing back to the back, and you'll find that it's like everywhere. It's gonna be on your filter, it's gonna be on your transmission case, it's gonna be at the bottom of the oil pan. I've got some dripping off, it looks like from the control arms, upper and lower, so it's everywhere. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's oil all over the filter. It goes all the way back. It's all hanging off the bolts. It's on the transmission housing. It's on the bottom there. It's on the bottom of my control arm. It's on the bottom of the exhaust. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and drop the oil out of the oil pan, and then we'll start cleaning up everything underneath here. Really, I don't see anything visually on this side. It all seems to be on the right side of the vehicle. So we will go ahead and drop this and start cleaning everything up and get ready to drop the whole pan. Now the 3.8 always ends up burning oil anyway, so you got the JK with the 3.8 and you're burning oil and you're leaking, man, that's just a recipe for disaster. All right, next up we want to do is take these 7 bolts off here, and they're a 15 millimeter, and that will take this housing off from the transmission and allow you the access to the oil pan. Now you see here, I've removed this one, this one, this one, and this one, and I'm gonna leave that middle one in there just to hold it so that way it doesn't fall on me, because it would suck if it hits you in the face. All right, so that housing just came off. It looks like I have even some oil that has found its way in between this plate here. And so I'll do a little bit of cleaning up just to get that. But now I have full access to the bolts. Now don't get confused. The black piece here, it's got some bolts that go all the way around that. That's for the actual oil pan itself. But I'm going for the upper gasket here. When this gets removed, there will be oil that still sits inside here because this is a little lower than the front. And so there's going to be some oil in there, so when you drop the pan, just be aware that you may have some that are going to come at you. It's not super heavy. Okay, last bolt's out, and then we should just be able to just drop this. Okay, let's just peel this old gasket off. And then we'll remove that extra gasket material out of there so we can get a good seat. And that's that. Now you can see, even in the pan, when you get rid of all your oil, there's still a lot of oil that gets left. Alright, well, cleaner than when it started, so go from there. Then the next thing we want to do is make sure that all these surfaces are nice and cleaned up. It may be on the outside of the gasket material, and that's fine. This might be overkill, but at least I'll feel better. You may not be able to see, but it's pretty grimy. You see that up there? That's that gasket material. So there's a low spot here in this corner, a low spot in that corner up there, one here. I've already scraped it out, and then one just right next to it. Little fine grit sandpaper just to clean up the edges there, just to make sure that that surface and the oil pan surface are really nice, so that gasket can be sealed very well. No leaking. No leaky. All right, pan is ready, Jeep is ready, gasket's ready, fit test looks great. I got the installation pins all set and ready to go. These are gonna help allow us to kind of be a hands-free thing where we put these in the 4 corners around the pin up and under the Jeep. We slide the gasket up in place. It holds it there, as then we can put the whole pan up there, put all the bolts in there, finger tighten everything, because you want this stuff to set up for about an hour before you torque everything down. You're gonna do about a 1/4 inch bead at each corner of the pan where those low spots are. As it's wet, put the gasket on there, they tighten it all down, and then after about an hour is when you're gonna actually torque it down, and that will be 105 inch-pounds. I know I told you 109 earlier, it's not, don't listen to me. Listen to the book, and it says 105 inch-pounds. Cool? Grab your torque wrench, it's time.
All right, so we'll let that sit for about an hour to let that RTV set up. You had one again in the corners there, and so we'll make sure that that has time to dry, and we should be good.
Well, all right, guys, so we just finished torquing down all the bolts to 105 inch-pounds for the oil pan. Next thing we got to do is replace the collar here that covers part of the oil pan and attaches to the bell housing here. So there is a note here underneath. It says critical collar torque sequence, reference the manual. And I have a snapshot of it right here. And basically what it says is that you're going to install all the bolts and do not tighten at that time, right? We're just going to put them in there, hold it in place to where it's flush against the bell housing, and then you're going to tighten the cover to transmission bolts to less than 25 inch-pounds. All right, the cover must be flush to the transmission of the machine surface, and then you're going to tighten the cover to the oil pan bolts, and you're going to tighten those to 40 foot-pounds. Once that's all done, then you'll go back to the transmission cover and you'll tighten those to 40 foot-pounds. Too easy.
All right, guys, so we got everything kind of tight here. Now we're going to take the bolts that go to the oil pan. We're going to tighten those to 40 foot-pounds, and then you're going to do the transmission bell housing ones to 40 foot-pounds.
Now that the oil pan is in place, go ahead and put the dipstick back in. All set. Just gotta add oil. Well, all right, guys, so now that we're waiting for that RTB to cure, I gotta go 24 hours before I can put oil into it. And basically I lost the rest of my daylight here, Veterans Day, and we'll start part 2 of the video for the valve cover gaskets. So stick around, be sure to click that like and subscribe. You don't want to miss this one. That's going to be the second part of my oil fix repair. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.